But working 7 days a week, always being on the run, eating badly, because that's a consequence as well. You just deprioritize the things that you need. I was unhappy, even though I should be happy, because the picture says this is the life of someone who's got it going on. But I was unhappy. I was built that there was a resentment growing in me towards these things that were taking me away, just weighing me down, tiring me out. So they start becoming joyless.
Welcome to Braving It, a platform where I get to have brilliant, brave conversations with people who are doing exceptionally well in their line of work. Why brave? Brave because I'm asking them to be vulnerable. What is vulnerability? It is uncertainty, it's risk, it's emotional exposure. And so on this journey, I'm really saying, make courage the epicenter of who you are. So we'll be dabbling and talking about emotions like fear, anxiety, self-doubt, that imposter syndrome that keeps reminding you that you are not good enough. So today I'm sitting with a very special human being. Someone who is graced, poised, highly favored by God.
Oh, wow.
You are a ministry of light. That is actually the words that come to me every time I see you on TV, I hear you on radio. You are a ministry of light. And so thank you for braving it with us today.
Oh, wow. That's really generous of you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, actually.
I've wanted to say that to you for the longest time.
Really?
And I'm just so grateful that
I receive it.
Today.
Thank you. I receive it. Was that a little bit of a moment of imposter syndrome? Like, surely me? No, could never be.
No,
maybe it was a moment, you know?
All right, so just a bit of intro for those who are living under rocks.
Yes.
And for the sake of formalities. Wow, Azania, you are phenomenal. We know you from the mainstream media and quite recently from online media as well.
Yeah.
So history says that you were a radio host on Metro FM once upon a time. Mm-hmm. And then you moved to Power FM.
Yes.
And then you also were a talk show host on Real Talk, SABC3. Mm-hmm. And then you're now on 702, and you've got a whole show called Unplugged. And of course, you are an entrepreneur, having co-founded Miss Salon London, which is a nail and beauty empire. I'm going to call it that. And of course, you grace many stages. You are an MC, you are a keynote speaker. And now you have a podcast of your own that you've launched, dubbed Interiority Podcast, which is conversations with Black people about the inner world of Black people and about Blackness and its enormity. When I was preparing this, again, you do a lot. I was taking stock of everything that you do. I also discovered that you are a breathwork practitioner in the making.
In the making.
That's what in the making.
Yes.
In the making.
Still in training.
Still in training. And so I thought, at which point do you take that breath before you begin your hectic schedule? Is it before the day begins? Is it throughout the day? When do you actually do breath work?
It is throughout the day. I suffered from burnout a few years ago. So when you say you do everything, there's a consequence to that. And breathwork came into my life through a series of events in my life. And when I was seeking healing, resolution to these things that were happening, the counselor that I ended up with, the therapist that I ended up with, ended up being an integrative medical practitioner. So she is a medical doctor by training, but the way in which medicine is done wasn't satisfactory to her because her understanding, and as we know as Africans as well, someone's health is their entire being. It's not just what their body is saying. It's not just about this ache, or it's not about that headache. There's so much more to why we present with illness or why we present with the things that happen to us. And so she then trained to be a breathwork practitioner herself. So she runs Breathwork Africa, which now is this body that helps to certify and train people like me who are absolutely persuaded and convinced that, and just I've experienced the power of the breath. So I'm absolutely moved by it, and I'm evangelical about it, to the point where this is something I needed to delve deeper into and learn more about, to the point of becoming a practitioner.
Wow. When you said burnout,
Yeah.
I can relate to that on so many levels. I mean, I am a corporate baby, so I come from traditional corporate. I served for 10 years. And you know, the marketing fraternity is hectic.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with marketing, comms, advertising, we are always on the run and everything is urgent. And so I want to believe, look, I wasn't diagnosed as having had burnout, but the symptoms alluded to that. So what sort of symptoms did you experience, and at which point did you realize, you know what, I need to go get help?
You're spot on. You don't need necessarily a diagnosis for you to know that the way your life is going, how you feel in your life is not the way you should be feeling. For instance, everything around me was the picture of success. It was the picture of just ambition and doing well. My kids were great. Just everything around me. The business was doing well. I was throwing everything into it. My career, I had successfully transitioned from music radio to talk radio. So over a couple of years, it was just a picture of that success. My plans were systematically working out. But working 7 days a week, always being on the run, eating badly, because that's a consequence as well. You just deprioritize the things that you need. I was unhappy, even though I should be happy, because the picture says this is the life of someone who's got it going on. But I was unhappy. I was built that there was a resentment growing in me towards these things that were taking me away, just weighing me down, tiring me out. So they start becoming joyless. You're showing up, but it's not joyous anymore. So then it's easy for resentment to build towards those things. You know, you wake up and you think, oh, I've got to go do this thing, but I would much rather lay here and be gentle with myself. And these are words I always used to say. So I always used to think that I knew what living healthy, living well was, but I thought I was doing it, but I wasn't doing that. So I was definitely exhausted, emotionally and physically exhausted. Couldn't have a full night's sleep, for instance, and if I did, I had taken a sleeping tablet to be able to get through a full night's sleep, because without it, then my sleep is interrupted because the mind's so busy.
And how often would you take a sleeping tablet in a given week?
I would say probably 4 nights out of a week, you know, just to make sure that you are switching off completely, because the mind does keep going, it keeps running. So your sleep is not restful as it should be. And then even just a detachment, you have this emotional detachment to and disassociation from the things that are happening, the success, the joy, the challenging things as well. There's just this detachment. And sometimes I used to think, am I depressed? Maybe it's depression. But all of them collectively just proved to be burnout. And so after that, I decided to make a difference. Slowly but surely, started hiking, started doing the breath work, started really being committed to my yoga, and all of those practices slowly, I started to self-regulate better and be more honest about what I'm willing to do, what I can do, and what I can't do, and being okay with what I can't do. Because part of it was feeling guilt. Thinking, I need to be driven. I need to wake up every morning and do 1,000 things. That's what the world messages to you.
Hours.
The world messages to you that, what, you're resting? Wait, you're not supposed to be resting. That's the messaging that we have. And at the same time, you shouldn't be resting. You should be running around all the time and doing everything to perfection, doing everything to 100%, you know. And that, when you sit and think about it, is simply not practical. Something has to give. So in this case, what gave was me. You know, what gave was just being emotionally and physically exhausted.
Bye.